cans after June of next year.
And I would buy the number 10 cans. You can do your own LDS cannery with a manually operated canner, getting the supplies locally or whatever. It's Costco. We have a bean company near us, Hayes Bean Company in Greenville. So you can do what you do at the LDS cannery. The cans are a great deal through the cannery. I buy pallets of them, and that you cannot buy it any cheaper. So as long as you're still getting cans, you can still do the same type of canning. So it's a good way to go.
Hi, I'm a freshman in high school, and I'm probably the only teenager here. Oh, hey. How are you? I was wondering, what advice would you give to the youth of the United States about everything we've discussed today?
Yeah, and it's just fantastic that you guys are here. That's why we did our mobile app, to appeal to a younger generation, just get them thinking about preparedness and basic things. And so just glad that you're here. And so just keep my teenagers, they have to deal with me. So I'm trying to make them excited about it, do things that, that they see the need for it, just to educate them. And the hardest battle is just educating teenagers that they need to do it. You're so distracted. You have so many distractions that are a lot more fun than digging a hole in the ground, than going to get water. So you have smartphones, you have every kind of gizmo at your fingertip, every type of game. So it's really hard to compete with what's in the world today. But you're here. You share it with your friends, your peers. Anybody else?
It's very important at your age, and you're learning a lot of skills. I know when I was your age and younger, I was we had a big creek that ran behind our house. We were out all day long building all kind of crazy forts and traps and doing all kind of stuff. And I think it's, where are you from? Are you from South Carolina, North Carolina? You're from here, this area?
Yes.
Carlos Hathcock, who was one of the great snipers during Vietnam, said that there is not a better soldier than those out of the Carolinas. And a lot of that had to do with the terrain that we have, and the outdoors, and just getting out and learning. So I would definitely first recommend that you just get into the outdoors, camp, do things like that, and it'll take you a long way into in doing your preps and getting you prepared.
I have a question about the penicillin. As opposed to injecting it with a needle, could you put something like that into a gel cap, like you put, like that your medicine and stuff comes in? Instead of like injecting it, could you just squeeze it into one of those and pop it down your mouth?
Yes. You can.
Would that be safer?
Wasn't the answer everyone was expecting. I actually had a friend of mine that drives a tractor trailer, and he was hauling a load of sheep to Iowa. He caught the flu, had the high fever, swimmy head, the whole 9 yards. He said, I was this close from death. He said, I never felt so bad in my life. He got to the sheep farm and asked the lady if she had anything for the flu, any antibiotics. And she said, all I've got is this injectable. And said, I ain't got no way of administering it. And he said, well, pour it on a spoon and I'll take it. And she did. And he did it, and he claimed that it helped him. He drank it. Now, would I recommend that? No, I wouldn't. Will it kill you? No. But the way it's designed, it's not the way it's designed to be administered. It's designed to be IM, intramuscular, to be injected, and that's how it breaks down. I'm not real sure it's going to break down in your stomach. It's probably going to do your stomach more harm than it will do your body good. Did that answer your question?
Yes, thank you. And my friend had a question. Is there a place to shoot guns in Haywood County?
2 steps out the door would be fine to me.
It might scare those quilters.
Yes, there is a free public range. It is on Highway 110. If you go to Lake Logan, keep on going, you'll see it on the right. It is run by the North Carolina Wildlife Resources Commission. It is open every day but Sunday.
Okay.
And you can forget having much luck on Saturday because it's very crowded. But I find if I go up there early morning on a weekday, I've got the range all to myself. And it's 100 yards. It's a really nice facility.
And thank you all for being here. We appreciate all the information you've shared.
Hi, food question. Last time I interacted with number 10 cans, you needed a counter-mounted can opener and you slammed it down and did the twist thing. Is there a new gadget now?
I just use a regular can opener.
Regular?
Just use a regular can opener.
I couldn't get mine to work. It didn't seem like it was deep enough.
Yeah,
Try
that's
it.
all I've
Try
ever
again?
used. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. Cool.
Swing
Thanks.
away. Oh. Oh, okay.
Did they say if the number 10 cans will still be available, or are they phasing those out too?
No, you'll still be able to buy the number 10 cans, just it's pre-packaged, so you can't do it yourself and you can't do the bulk to do yourself. So, but you can still buy the number 10. And you can also get their stuff online. So. Mm-hmm. Oh, excellent. Okay.
Anybody else? Going once, going twice. Who will give me $21?
What's the shelf life on modern ammo? Is there a new additive that makes it go bad over a period of time?
No. There was some talk about limiting the life of ammo, but that's even in the Clinton times. I know there was some talk, but
The good old days.
they did pass the assault weapons ban.
Still better than today, though.
But no, in fact, I've got ammo that's 30 years old. Well, probably some ammo that's even more than that. I keep it sealed in ammo cans, and it just shoots. It functions. But you shouldn't. There's nothing right now. It is, and it's not that. I mean, there were even talk about little microchips in the bullets and all kind of crazy stuff. But I will tell you that in D.C. and in some areas now, they make you have a sample of your bullet, and through each gun, and you have to have each round of brass accounted for after you fire it. And I think there was a guy recently arrested in D.C. because he had a round, a spent cartridge that wasn't registered. It was some kind of crazy stuff. So that's the reason why we really need to keep our vigilance against these kind of things and stay on it, because if let go, it can really get nutty. So.
That was one of those ideas that politicians who didn't know anything about firearms came up with. And as soon as they went to the people that know, they said, you'll be extremely dangerous because you can't make an instant off switch. If you try to make shelf life ammo, it will degrade. And there's a lot of science, if anybody in here reloads, that goes into exactly how much pressure you have in that round with exactly what kind of powder. And if you try to shoot a round that's halfway degraded, you might lodge in the barrel. You don't realize it. You fire the next round, it explodes. So no manufacturer would ever put out ammo that would degrade like that just for the liability reasons. They would be sued out of existence. So it's one of those feel-good ideas that politicians who don't know about guns come up with, just about like all the gun laws.
I saw a video recently that said that somewhere out west, when you hand out your license, registration, and insurance, the cop will ask you to put this taser bracelet on while he's checking your stuff out in the car. Which one of you guys up there would actually put that bracelet on if they tried to make us start doing that?
I would. You would? Yeah, it'd be fun.
Hit me again, hit me again.
And do you guys know if there's any truth to that stuff?
Is that for real?
Yeah.
I mean, I've been tased before.
2 days
no
ago on
joke.
a video I came across.
I mean, as long as you have nothing, to fear, why worry about it? I mean, if they tell you to do it and you fail to do it, what is that? Your ass is going in handcuffs anyway. You know?
Yeah.
I mean, think about it. Think about it. Every time I pulled over a car, I had no idea. Every time I pulled over a car, I had no idea what was on the other side. If it was you, you have a CWP, your hands right here, your windows are down, the dome light's on, you got the CWP card, your driver's license ready. I knew I didn't have no problem with you. How about the guy I have no idea about, who doesn't move? I walked up, guy not moving. Think about it. He had a gun right here. If I walked up, if I didn't see it, I saw him in his rearview mirror. I saw that pistol sitting right here. He was going to kill me. So you have no idea. I mean, the way I look at it is, these guys put their lives on the line for less than, what, $27, $29, $30,000 a year? They have you put on a bracelet? Do it, you know? You're a law-abiding citizen, right? Then do it. That's just me.
I did 26 years. I don't know how long you were in, but I did 26 years. I'm too fond of the Constitution.
There you go. Hey, everybody's got it right, right?
Nobody touched on the collapse of the monetary system. Any alternatives to the money, FRNs?
Are you talking about after a collapse? Or are you talking about now? Or
No, I'm talking about when nothing is worth anything. And the exchange of Federal Reserve notes is not an option anymore.
According to Doomsday Castle, it's moonshine.
to be honest, it's going to be whatever people need. I hear a lot of people say, hey, silver will do it, silver will do it. I own a store, and it's got a lot of stuff that people will need if times go bad. The only time I'm going to start taking a lot of silver is if the people I get myself stuff from will take silver from me so I can restock the store. Otherwise, I sell out, I've got a bunch of silver, nobody wants it, where am I? So if somebody comes up and needs something I've got, and he's got a box of 22 shells, and the other guy's got some silver, I know somebody's going to come in needing those 22 shells, or some fresh eggs, or something else. So from my perspective, the guys that preach silver will automatically become a currency. I don't see it as much as they do, but I don't know if anybody else here got an opinion on that one.
We owned a gold business, jewelry business for years, and one of the things that Verfal said in his book with the Argentine collapse is, number one, if you're looking to trade ammo, they'll pass laws making you have a license to sell and buy ammo, and that's what they did in Argentina. A lot of people expected to have a lot of ammo and be able to barter and trade, and so, and with our current mindset of our laws, it would probably be the same thing. So you'd have to, anytime you'd want to do any kind of bartering with ammo, you'd have to know somebody. You'd have to really trust them. Now, one thing about also is, and if you've seen these places that are around that are like, we buy gold, we buy silver, those places are going to increase in a grid down situation. So, but in a standard regular situation, and it's just like you said, I mean, he can't replenish his stock necessarily with silver. But honestly, in a really grid down situation where there's no money anyway, there's not going to be any stock to be shipped. So nobody knows what could happen, and that's why, to me, if you set yourself with, this is the plan that I do, and I'm going to, have any of you ever had a plan and decided this is exactly how it's going to happen, and it ever work out that way? No. So having plan A, plan B, plan C, plan D gives you different options. I have a lot of silver just because over the years I've purchased it, and I put it back as a reserve, but I don't count on that altogether. I also have ammunition just in case, and other barter items. So I think it's just being very versatile and watching the markets. But I think having things that people need are going to be the most important.
I got a question in regards to, let's say the EMF hit a week later or whatever. You got, most of the people don't have their mortgages paid, so basically they don't own the house, the bank owns the house. So how do you see this plan? I mean, you put all this food away, you got all this ammo, you prepared, but what is your feeling about what will happen in that regard? I mean, do you feel that the banks would somehow try to recover the property, or I mean,
if you have to look at the whole implications of an economic collapse. If the economy goes, the dollar dies, everything else, who's going to come collect it? That would be their job. So what are they paying the people coming to get your property in? Chickens? No one's going to have any money, and possession is 9/10 of the law. I can't speak for my wife and kids. I don't know where they would live after the group comes to get my house, because I would probably die in the firefight with federal agents. But here.
Well, another thought on that too. I believe that more than likely, since your whole grid's down, the computers are down, there is no data anymore for them to know who owes what. So pretty much until they can prove or figure out, then you're probably going to be staying right where you are. But I just kind of wanted to get what your feel was on it.
When you're talking about a economic collapse, EMP, all of that will eventually end up at the same place: no power. And it goes back to what I said about just like right now, a storm come through, a tree fall on a power line. Duke Power is going to send guys out to cut the tree off the power line, get the power redone. If there's no way of paying these people, because I work for a utility company, we are not coming to help if I'm not getting paid. So eventually it will all end up to the same point of you're not going to have grid power one way or the other, either an EMP or financial collapse. Hyperinflation the same way. If it goes to hyperinflation, not coming out to get that tree off that power line, if it's going to cost me everything I make that week to buy a pack of chewing gum, I ain't working no more.
The hyperinflation, though, and this is one thing that happened in Argentina, was a lot of people, because gold and silver went through the roof in value-wise, before you had 3 days to go and to get rid of that silver, and then you could turn around and pay off your mortgage. And there were a lot of people that did that during the Argentine crisis. But it was 3 days, and then boom, they adjusted the market. So that is a possibility. In fact, it's one of the things I know that if that happens to us, we definitely will be doing that. So just another hedge.
Anybody else?
She was asking a question. She was asking, I'm not here. Okay. Whoa, sorry about that. She was asking questions about the classes, where to take them. You can go to your local technical school. They offer classes. I teach for American Heart Association, so I like their classes, like their schedule, the way they do them. Normally we do video, it's a DVD, and then you do hands-on. You put your hands on the equipment that we're showing. They also have books that you can read, so it hits all your senses, and they're pretty pictures, so if you don't want to read, you can just look at the pictures. But American Heart Association, you can actually go to AHA.org and Google, or not Google, that's a whole other term, AHA.org, and you can go to their first aid classes, and they'll show you first aid classes around in your area. You can also go to Red Cross, American Red Cross, but both of those are reputable, sites that will let you do. They're like 4 or 8 hours, depending on what class you want to take, and they'll let you do hands-on.
Last question.
For people who live mainly in a city, is there any good way to contact people who have farms or land to kind of team up and have a place to learn some of this stuff and get involved in things?
I highly recommend Heritage Skills Days, which will be here It will be here. Don't have my clipboard with me. I think May 15th, 16th, and 17th. Don't hold me to that. Check with Carolina Readiness. But you just learn so much information. I know Skinny Medic teaches a class at it. Scott teaches a class at it. You taught a class at it, didn't you? He's doing the next one. Probably everybody here will be teaching, and it'll be hands-on. And
Right,
it will be...
I was thinking more about getting to know somebody that has land where you can actually go out and put a garden in and get the food out of it and do things or do other things to learn. They potentially get free labor out of you. You have land to use to learn some of this stuff and actually be doing it, because you can't do it in the backyard of the apartment or the house you're living in or whatever.
Wolf.com is like a gardening thing where you go hang out with all the gardeners and do all the work.
Wolf.com? Okay. Wolf.com. Okay. There's a lot of people that contact us to design a community so that people that are coming there, so there's either RV approach, a camping approach, or small tiny houses, or their real home, bigger homes, and then they could come to that bug out. That's their bug out location. That's their retreat or whatever. And I've been involved with about 5 of them, and none of them have. It's that human dynamic of just how are we going to do this together. It's a very hard thing to figure out. There's been a lot of people that have wanted to do it. Developers that aren't making any money developing land anymore have switched over to try to, I can't do a golf course anymore because I'm going to lose it on that. Let me do a prepper community. So I can invite an urban prepper to come and he could have his garden space and his place to live. It's a great concept. I have not seen anybody pull it off. I've been in Texas, Missouri, all over the Carolinas. There's a lot of people that want to do that, and maybe there's just not the right combination because, But I would say an urban prepper, there's a lot of urban preppers that are much better off than people that aren't prepping in the country, just because they have the ability to weather the storm, not just to shelter in place, not draw any attention to yourself, and just get through that crisis situation. And there's people that I know that live in Carolinas that are not ready. They wouldn't make it a couple of days because they haven't prepared. They think they could make it. They're deceived. I've met a lot of urban preppers that are just over the top prepared for a lot of crazy scenarios.
One thing you might look into, around here in 2004, we had a series of bad floods, and FEMA came in later and offered homeowners who were flooded a buyout. We'll buy your home at the market value and we'll demolish it so we don't have to worry about people living in the floodplain. And now there are all these parcels of land that were transferred to the county, and the county leases them to people just for gardening and other uses like that for some ridiculously low amount. You can lease an acre for like $20 a year. And you don't have to live near it. And then you can plant your garden. You're only allowed to plant gardens. You can't put any permanent structures. But if times got bad and you showed up and put a camper trailer on it, I don't think you'd get booted off. But it might be an option to look for programs like that where you can lease small parcels of land just for gardening. For those that didn't hear it, she was saying that in Greenville, South Carolina, there's a organic food store that actually has a volunteer program where people can go out and work with their farmers that supply them.
Comment back to what Mike said earlier. I never served in the military, but I was a police officer. The idea and the fundamental principle that police officers operate under is they are agents of the people. And they do not have any rights or any privileges that citizens don't have because everything they do and every power they have is as an agent of the people. So when a police officer uses excessive force or draws a weapon or points a weapon at somebody, and they would arrest me for doing the same thing, then they're acting outside their authority. The biggest problem we have now is nobody enforces that. Officers are becoming more and more militant and have developed more and more an attitude of, I'm going to do it because I'm going to protect myself, and the heck with the person's rights. I carry, as long as I'm sitting in my car and I'm at a traffic stop, I'm safer and the officer's safer while I'm sitting in my car. If the officer tells me to get out of the car, my first question is going to be, am I under arrest? And if he says, no, I just want to check something, then I'm going to tell him the situation. And if he draws his weapon on me at that point, then he is committing aggravated assault. And I don't know what they call it in North Carolina or in Tennessee or other places, but that's what we call it in Georgia where I policed, because he is pointing a weapon at me, and he has no reason to, because I'm not a threat to him. I haven't threatened him. All I've done is tell him that I'm armed just like he is. I don't know how we combat this attitude and this militant demeanor that we see, but I think all of us probably agree that we don't like it. And we aren't the problem. We're the people who would jump out of our car and run to the assistance of a police officer if he was having a problem with somebody. We're the ones that would try to back them up or help them. We're the ones that would go to their car and pick up the radio and call for help. We're the ones that would render aid and put the tourniquet on and try to help them. We're not the problem. They don't know that, as you said, when you stop a car, you don't know who's in there. But it's the attitude. And I see all this stuff on TV, and I know that the reality shows are not necessarily the way it is, and you know, all that. But it's upsetting to people who really care and who are on that side of things, who are on the positive side, who want to do right. I don't know what we do about it, but I know that something's got to be done in terms of training, in terms of attitude, all this other stuff. I see guys in situations now where they go to serve a warrant and 10 guys show up in full battle dress. And in the old days, my partner and I walk up and knock on the door. So I disagree with your comment about the belt, the buckle thing, or the bracelet. So that's all I had to say. Thanks.
We'll move on. I just want to say one thing, that there are some really great police officers out there, and there are some bad ones in every group. But those police officers, like he was saying, you don't know if you're dealing with me or someone who's on methamphetamines or whatever, so they have to make sure they go home with their kids. It is, I mean, I was talking to several people who've been in EMS who are retired paramedics, and it is a whole different ballgame out there, especially where I'm from, David. The first thing when I walk up to a patient that I'm having to deal with, I have to look at their hands. I check waistbands, and that is sad that in a world where you've called me for 911 that I have to check everybody for hands, check their waistbands, even as a paramedic. So what you see on the news and what you see out there, there are bad police officers out there in every service, but there are some really good guys out there who are really pro Second Amendment, pro gun.
One thing I want to add, because this is really important as well, is just like your concealed carry permit. A lot of people will say, well, the Constitution is my concealed carry permit. Listen, I am a huge proponent of the Constitution. We need to fight to preserve it. We need to fight to preserve it. But I want to tell you something. If you have a group of SWAT members show up at your door and demanding your guns, listen, you have a family at home, you need to really consider what you're doing. And this is what I always tell, because I have a lot of people that ask me questions about this. What should I do if they show up to take my guns? Number one, you should have thought about that ahead of time. You put your, you